Hello, everyone. Welcome to Coffee Break YXE. It is Tuesday, June 1st. Thank you so much. We're thrilled you're here. We have two guests lined up for our show today. We're going to start off with an interview with Dr. Nazeem Muhajarine, and we're going to talk about how Saskatoon's doing with this pandemic and get a sense of where he thinks we're at and what we could be doing better and what we're doing well. After that, we're going to talk to Darcie Young. Darcie Young is with the Nutrien Children Festival of Saskatoon, and she's going to tell us about the plans that she has, or that the festival has, for the upcoming virtual festival. It starts this weekend. And we were just in the green room with her, and she did mention that I could talk to her about whether or not it's going to rain this weekend, even though the festival's virtual. It wouldn't make much difference, but there is kind of the standing joke that it always rains during the children's festival. So thank you so much for tuning in. As always, this is your show. We want you to provide comments, questions in the social media feeds that you're watching. If you're on YouTube, if you're on Facebook, if you have a question or a comment, please submit it in those feeds, and if we can use it, we will. So, like I mentioned, our first guest is going to be Dr. Nazeem Muhajarine, and here is Dr. Nazeem Muhajarine now. Doctor, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Ian. Thank you for having me on your show. And
I should mention that you are with the University of Saskatchewan and the College of Health and Epidemiology, I believe.
Yeah, so Department of Community Health and Epidemiology is where I work out of, and in the College of Medicine at the University of Saskatchewan.
Gotcha. So kind of dealing with a pandemic, that's certainly in your wheelhouse, so to speak.
Well, yeah, you could say that. It's been interesting. It's been a very, very interesting year. As an epidemiologist, when we go to grad school and get trained as an epidemiologist, you never hope to be in a pandemic. You never wish for that because of the consequences of pandemics. But now that we are in a pandemic, this is what we have been trained to do and trained for, in a way, all of a career. And it's our duty to step up and do what we can and what we should, to the health and well-being of everyone.
How would you describe how Saskatoon and I guess by extension Saskatchewan, how are we doing right now this week? What's your sense of how things are for numbers, for cases?
Yeah. So as everyone know, as of this Sunday, the 30th of May, we have begun a gradual, a three-stage reopening process in this province in Saskatchewan, and there are other provinces, particularly in Western Canada, that are also opening up, and they in fact followed Saskatchewan's sort of lead, if you will, if I could put it that way. And I think in terms of numbers and in terms of how Saskatoon is doing at this point, this week in this pandemic, our numbers are higher than it is in Regina, this week. And as a province as a whole, our numbers have stalled a little bit these past 4 to 5 days, 3 to 4 days. Where it is not steadily continuing to go down, to decrease, but we have seen a little bit of a kind of a bit of a bouncing around, stalling of our daily average of new cases. Our hospitalization rates and number of deaths are low. It is continuing to hold steady at a low, kind of decreasing trend. And I think if I could sort of kind of capture my sense of where things are at, as things are opening up, it gives me hope. I am guardedly optimistic that this could work, but the professional part of me is really cautious. It's really kind of, I would even say, I worry that people will actually put themselves at risk, and we will see a reverse of our trends, and and then closing up again, having to close up, so to drive down the numbers. So it's an interesting space that I'm at right now. I'm hopeful as a citizen, as a member of the community, but as an epidemiologist, I'm worried, to be quite honest.
So you had mentioned that the numbers seem to have stalled out across the province in terms of new cases per day. What number would you like to see that at? I mean, we all want probably zero, but are you looking for less than 100 new cases per day? I'm one of those guys that, from 1:30 on, I'm hitting refresh on Twitter looking for that daily number. What should we be looking for? And should we be following the daily number or 7-day trend?
Well, so that is easy. Not the daily number. It is the 7-day trend that we should be following. I mean, that because just the stability, it's average out over 7 days. And that's a good period to average out, a number that fluctuates on a daily basis. The question about how low should these daily rates get to, before we can truly be confident, and reclaiming our lives back to that point before the pandemic, the way we were before the pandemic. So I'm going to give you a number, and it is based on two things. One is actually it is based on what other countries have achieved. So it is possible. So it's not an unrealistic, kind of a number, but it's also based on what people have come to realize. This is kind of where we need to be. We need to be less than 10 daily new cases. I think 5 daily new cases per 100,000 population. Okay. So 7-day average, less than 5. We are nowhere close to that right now.
So forgive me then. What is our current per 100,000 7-day trend? Is it
the 7? I think it is probably at about 12 or 13. I didn't check this morning. So we have gone as high as 25, 26. That is really high. I mean, it basically if you are to describe that qualitatively, as descriptively, it will be, uncontrolled, outbreak, pandemic situation. But when we get to, in fact, actually the green in a color coded, like, traffic lights, from green to red, in a color coded system, green is actually considered 1 daily new cases per 100,000 people. So that's actually what we're looking at in fact for green. But I'm being a little bit more realistic there, a little bit more I'm cutting a little bit more slack and sort of saying, if we get between 1 to 5, I think, at this point in time, we could say we have this pandemic, in Saskatoon under control, and we have enough capacity to manage this situation. I mean, that is it. I mean, that is what it is. Being able to manage the situation, right, rather than sort of having the virus, the pandemic manage us. We want to manage it, not the pandemic.
And has that been, we're talking about some of the fundamentals of Pandemic 101 here maybe, but going back to the beginning of this, and the thing was flatten the curve, and was that so we can manage it without overwhelming hospitals? You want to share some 101 pandemic with us?
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, I think pandemics, first of all, they go through waves, they go through cycles. It's never a single cycle, in terms of big pandemics, except for SARS, in 2002, 2003, mysteriously, and I think we are still trying to figure out exactly what happened there. This is going back a little bit of history. SARS-1, it disappeared. I mean, it spread to about 38 countries worldwide, and it was in Canada as well, particularly in Ontario, and killed many people. But other pandemics, like the flu or influenza pandemic in 1918, the one that we typically, compare this pandemic to because of its scope and why it's, how it's a global pandemic. It's just not only some countries, but 192 countries have been affected by this pandemic. So it goes through cycles. It has acceleration phase. It peaks or it crests, and then it comes down. What I'm talking about this is case numbers on a daily case numbers. So it is the growth of the pandemic, in relation to time. When the case numbers accumulate and grows, it does create sort of secondary consequences, and the secondary consequences are needing care in a hospital situation. And in hospital situations, some patients will need more intensive care, and unfortunately, some people will not make it. So that is really the kind of the sequence, the consequence of of cases, and of course treatment and so on. When you're in hospital. So what we want to do is we want to minimize the new cases from occurring, because when that happens, then those consequences will not happen, because there are no new cases. This pandemic is a silent, I would say silent killer, but a silent, it's stealth. It actually, because there are people who carry the virus, who can spread the virus, but it's not themselves sick. They don't feel sick. They don't act like they're sick people do. So that is kind of what I mean by a silent or stealth kind of a virus here. And the other thing is that we are still learning a lot about how to control this particular virus. It has mutated. It is continuing to mutate, as all viruses do. And it, and we will see cases continuing to accumulate if we don't do two things. We need to get those vaccine shots in our arms, hopefully two. When the second shot is available, we need to get that, because that protects you, and also it protects other people as well. And it protects the whole community or the population that you are part of. So it is not just only that it's protecting one person, it is protecting a whole bunch of people, a whole community. So that's one. The other thing is that getting a vaccine, it's not a panacea. It doesn't mean that you are completely home free in terms of not getting this virus. We also have to continue to some degree, continue to practice those safe behavior and take precautions. So that's kind of on the second front is why I worry about, that we would get the impression when the government opens up a little bit too hastily, in my sense, that we will get the impression now that we have a lot of vaccines and getting into people's arms, we can kind of cut ourselves free and act as though there isn't a pandemic, and that is not at all the case.
Well, let's talk about that. I mean, it's been a long time.
Yeah.
It was a long winter. Saskatchewan winters can be harsh. We got lucky this winter. There wasn't a real cold spell. But
Yeah.
I think back to myself, and there was a stretch of minus 30 sub weather, and it's horrible. Today's going to be a warm, hot day. It feels like there's a finish line, and I'm resisting the urge. I want to get out. I'm done. But are you saying hold on a bit longer?
Ian, I go out every time I can. When I'm not giving interviews or doing work, I go out every time I can, because outside is safer, than staying inside. We have come to understand and learn that. I've learned that. I'm saying, what I'm really saying is that enjoy the summer months. That's what we suffer through the winter for in the prairies in Saskatchewan. There's no doubt that we need to, especially when it is nice out, throw a frisbee around, throw a football around, even have a picnic, but with a small number of people, and with appropriately distanced, and don't linger for 4 or 5 hours, have a picnic for an hour or an hour and a half, and then, and they be on your way. But I think what I'm saying is that we still have to take precaution in terms of interacting with people in close quarters without a mask, and sort of actually spreading breath around, sharing the air in very close proximity for a period of time, for long period of time. We still really cannot do that. I don't think it is safe. I wouldn't go necessarily to an indoor public place and where there are many other people around as well, and stay there for any length of time. I'll go there for, to do my business, go to a grocery store, wear my mask, pick up my groceries and come home. But I wouldn't, I'm still not comfortable going to a movie theater. Let me just put it that way as a comparison from grocery store. I am not comfortable going to a movie theater and watch a 2-hour movie, even if the theater is only at 30% capacity or 50% capacity. I'll wait. I'll wait for that time. I'll bid my time. I've come this far, and I don't want to fall, and take that risk, this close to the finish line. I do feel like we are closer to the finish line than when we started, back 15 months or 16 months ago. But we haven't crossed the finish line. And we are not, we can't celebrate, we can't raise our arms and and shout out loud that victory is ours yet.
It's hard to say what's going to happen in the future, but can I put you on the spot and say, what kind of Christmas do you think we're going to have in Saskatchewan?
It's interesting you asked me that way, Ian, Christmas, because I have been thinking about winter. We are still in the summer, early months of summer, and I'm thinking of summer. I mean, certainly, but I'm thinking of winter in terms of in terms of the pandemic, in terms of actually this reopening plan. What would it mean? What would it kind of signal, prognosticate? Come winter months, if there's going to be a fourth wave, if there's going to be a surge and another wave. I think it is going to happen in late fall and winter months because of that indoor, we all move inside, but we still work. People still have to work outside because not everyone can work from home. People will do things, will take risks and so on, and people will bring, the virus home. And it might be a more virulent, more transmissible, strain of the virus, come fall. So if there's going to be a fourth wave, it is going to happen late in the fall and winter. But I hope that I'm not correct. That's my hope. I hope that this will not come to pass. Like everybody else, I hope that this winter, this Christmas will be different than the last Christmas. But I mean, like going back to the beginning, I mean, I'm an epidemiologist. I think as a professional person, I think a little bit differently, the knowledge I have, experience I have. So I cannot not say, share the caution I have, the worry I have. That's what people expect us to do. You go to a doctor and you want the truth from the doctor, not some sugarcoating. And I'm not saying that I'm that doctor right now seeing a patient, but I'm kind of, drawing a bit of an analogy there. So that's what, but my private self, as a member of my community and my family, as a private self, I want that Christmas that I lost last winter. I want that Christmas this year. So
cautiously optimistic.
That's a good way to put it.
Follow the health orders, but try and enjoy the summer within the health orders. Is that what I'm hearing?
That's exactly right, Ian. That's exactly what I'm saying. Be cautious, and we are not done yet. But also enjoy the summer. Enjoy the summer so that you're replenished, like all of us. We are replenished, and we are come fall, we are ready to go again. So
And try,
summers are really nice.
if you don't own it, you have to run it right away and try and get that equipment that everybody seems to be buying. Paddle boards, disc golf, all that stuff seems to be in short supply around the province
frisbees.
of Ohio.
Frisbees
Yeah.
are good things to throw around, because you do that distant, but you still are out in the open, breathing fresh air, because you don't want to be breathing bad air. You are breathing fresh air.
Dr. Mahajiri, thank you so much for doing this interview and sharing your insights with us. As this goes on, I hope in the next couple of weeks, a month, we would have you back, and maybe the message will change a little for the better. But either way, we should have you back. You'd agree to that at some point.
I hope so. I hope the message will be better next time around. But Ian, I enjoyed talking to you, and thanks for having me on your show. This is exciting.
Anytime. It was a pleasure. Take care.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Dr. Nazeem Muhajarine, a professor with the Department of Community Health and Epidemiology in the College of Medicine here in Saskatoon. We thank him for his time. Our next guest is going to be Darcie Young with the Nutrien's Children's Festival of Saskatchewan. She's going to tell us about their plans for the virtual fest. I'm just going to glance over. Yes, she's here. I saw that her camera was off, but her camera's on, so I can bring her into the stream. Darcie, thank you so much for joining us. How are you today?
I'm good. Thanks a million for inviting me. I really appreciate it.
I'm glad you're here.
Me too.
We were talking in the green room before the show, before 10 o'clock, the start time, and you're saying you got one festival in before you went virtual?
Yeah. I came on board in 2019. And in 2019, we were over in Rotary Park. We're normally in Kinsman Park, but they were seating, so we were over in Rotary. So that was my first year with the organization. And then 2020 hit and went down in infamy for I think everybody. Yeah.
Crazy times, and of course, last year you pivoted and you did something. I presume something different.
Yeah, when March hit, like every other business or organization, you take that moment of pause and think, well, how does this look? How are we going to move forward? We thought we would be able to just delay the festival, and then it became quickly apparent that wasn't an option. So then we thought, well, our mandate is to get programming that is educational, artistic based, out to children and being as inclusive as possible. So we decided to go virtual, and we did our festival in August because it gave us a month and a half, 2 months to plan. We needed a little bit of work or a little bit of time to get that work done. And for the month of August, we offered programming, and we made sure that it was free of charge so that every child could be invited. It felt that the kids needed maybe even more of a reprieve than the adults did. They had been pulled out of school. They had the summer, for all intents and purposes, at home alone, maybe with their siblings. So they needed a little bit of an up. And so that's what we did in August. And it was a game changer for the organization, in my perspective. It was, we were able to get programming out to all four corners of the province. It was wonderful.
It sounds kind of exciting. And that probably kind of set you up for this year.
Absolutely.
And I think there's something starting this weekend. Do you want to share the details about that?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, we start this weekend. So we're back to our normal schedule, which is end of May, beginning of June. So we're doing 4 days, the Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday of this coming week. And we will be virtual online and have 4 days of programming that's all inclusive and free of charge.
Where do we find it?
On our website, on our YouTube channel, and on our Facebook page. So we're not doing a live stream just because, with kids' napping schedules and that sort of thing, we wanted to work around family schedules as much as possible. So once a show premieres, it is available for all 4 days free of charge on any of those 3 sites.
You'd mentioned that it was a bit of a game changer, and maybe there's a silver lining in this cloud. do you anticipate that when we return to normal, if there ever is going to be a normal, let's hope there is, that you might take some of the learnings from this and continue to do something in a virtual fashion?
100%, Ian. We didn't realize it until we had to change things, that there can be a positive out of the negative. So the fact that we went virtual, we didn't get to see the little ones come in the park, we weren't face to face, but we did realize that we were able to get programming out to the entire province. Our mandate is provincial. We've been open for 33 years, but I guess, without realizing it, the idea was, well, they'll come to us. And we're in a province that you have to travel to go anywhere. And that's just not the reality for a lot of people. So once we moved virtual in 2020, we were able to go to those communities, to get into those, care facilities, to come to people. That expectation wasn't that they were coming to us, because that asks for, you're able to travel, which was obviously not the case, but that people could get in a car and go for 4 hours, and they had the means to be able to do that. So that was such an eye-opener, because we realized, not that we're doing a disservice, but maybe we should up our game a little bit. So my hope is that when we're able to get back in the park and all the little ones are able to get together and play and learn and have fun, we're still able to maintain, a few different programming options that will be virtual, so we can get to those communities that just can't come to us. And then another thing that we found was that if we're going to move virtual, there's also that expectation that people have, one, a device to watch us on, and two, the internet. And again, that's not the reality either. So we started a program called the Swag Bag Program, and it's exactly that. We collect swag from some of the artists, different organizations and businesses locally and from other cities, city towns, donate different activities for children. And then we send 2,000 of these swag bags out to organizations, homes where children don't have access to a device. And it's basically a festival kit that children can engage in different activities and different toys and different things like that, and still be part of our 4-day party for the children of the province. So yeah, it changed things, and it was a win, definitely.
Sounds like a really neat idea, the swag bag program.
It's great.
Are you is it too late for this year if somebody has some things to put in that, or
yeah, but I mean,
year?
I'm always open for next year, because again, I think this is one of those things that if you don't offer it, you don't know until you start that there is a demand for it. There's a need, so we opened it up, I think it was last week, and it maxed out right away. We found that in the summer
Wonderful.
As well. So we're definitely open to anyone that wants to talk about that for next year, because it was such a success. And there are so many little ones that, they need something, right? It's,
Right.
Yeah, we're feeling it. We're feeling the crunch, that we're stuck indoors, and it can be lonely and overwhelming.
Absolutely.
When you're 6, that's a lot.
Well, as an adult, I can't. I'm struggling. Well, it's a little nicer that it's warmer, but in the winter, holy cow! Without the daylight and the cold, it was tough. So it's wonderful that you're able to meet that. As a small business owner, when this pandemic hit, my business partner and I looked at each other. Oh, what are we going to do? We've been lucky that we've pivoted and we've done some different things and we've done okay. How's the Children's Festival doing in terms of I guess, well, how's the money?
Yeah, art's never good, but no,
Yeah.
all that to say, we're a charity, right? So
Right.
we rely on donations, we rely on our funders, we rely on grants, sponsorship. So that's always part of it, right? So when you look at the span of an organization like ours, 6 months is basically spent programming, staffing, that sort of thing, and building, if we're in the park, that little village, or online, a virtual village as such. And the other 6 months are knocking on as many doors as you possibly can knock on, with the understanding that there are more knocks on the same doors, right? Because we're all kind of fighting the good fight to keep your doors open. But our funders have been very great, very good to us. We're very lucky to have the support of the Canadian Heritage, Sask Arts, City of Saskatoon. sponsors. Nutrien's our title sponsor. That's huge for us. There's so many different local businesses too that, you know, really come on board. Like they were there for years before, and now there is more that are coming to us, which is great because we're going to their communities as well. So that's been good. So the festival itself, we're very fortunate. And that is also because for 33 years, it's been so well loved and cared for by my predecessors and, you know, the board. And we have 300 volunteers that, you know, help out at the festival in the park each year and just give of their time. And I think that's almost, if not more valuable than money in a way, because they're investing their interest and their belief in the organization. So yeah, we're in a great spot because of the people that came before me. And because I think we're going out to some of these communities that they're like, oh yeah, we've heard of you, or tell us more about what you do. And that's changed things for us too. And that's thanks to the virtual content.
And certainly Saskatchewan and Saskatoon has always been known for its volunteerism. That's great that you get 300 people out, and hopefully next summer the volunteers can return in some sort of fashion.
Absolutely.
Once this is behind us. So let's get back to this weekend. It starts Saturday.
Starts Saturday.
No live streaming, but it's all kind of, is it time released programming?
So we're releasing in 3 different segments, meaning that on Saturday, we'll release all of our shows at 8 a.m. And then once they're released, they can be watched all day Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. And then we'll release another section on Sunday. And then Monday and Tuesday, generally how it works when we're in the park in person, those are predominantly schools that come. So on our Monday and Tuesday, we're releasing those 2 days in one segment. So the schools, like the Catholic schools here, are closed on Monday, but they can take part on Tuesday with the 2-day programming. So once the show is premiered, or that band or that, you know, section of shows are premiered at 8 a.m. on each day, you could access them whenever you want.
That sounds like a wonderful way to do it. So you kind of wake up and head over to your YouTube page, and I can see what's there for my kids if I had kids that were interested in it.
Absolutely. We've got this cool thing, like we have a virtual scavenger hunt that runs all 4 days. You know, the programming is crazy, and because we've gone virtual, we're able to offer things that we can't offer in person. Like Phyllis Webstad, she's doing a reading of her Phyllis's Orange Shirt. That, you know, that's such a wonderful thing. And we've got cooking shows, and, you know, so it's just a game changer. It's a different way of programming. It's so great. And I saw the cooking, like the show itself. It looks amazing.
I can't wait. Is that Saturday or Sunday coming out?
Yeah, exactly.
You gotta tell me.
Yeah, it's Saturday. Yes.
Saturday, okay.
Yeah, with the local kitchen.
Sorry to get demanding there.
No.
Darcy, we have a question here for you from a viewer. Nazreen's asking opportunities to volunteer, how you can apply to be a volunteer for next year.
That's amazing. Yes, yeah. Shoot us an email. Shoot me an email at gmchildfest@gmail.com. And I would love to collect a list of any of your listeners, viewers that would love to take part in the festival. We're always looking for people that want to be part of it.
Terrific,
it's so wonderful. Yeah, thank you. Thank you for that.
I gotta ask you, even though it's virtual,
yeah.
Have you looked at the weather forecast for this weekend?
Yeah, you know, when the doctor was on, I went to my iPhone and I'm like, I'm going to prove him wrong. It's raining solid all weekend. I was like, no. Yeah.
But the good news is it doesn't really matter.
Doesn't matter, you know, and hopefully what's going to happen is it's going to pour this year, and then next year, you know, like the gates of heaven open up and we have wonderful weather. So knock on wood.
Knock on wood, yes.
Yeah,
Darcy,
absolutely.
Any final comments, any thoughts?
No, just, you know, I'm so grateful for the opportunity to talk about the festival and encourage as many people to take part as possible and share it with their little ones. We've got some wonderful content that is inclusive and fun and uplifting for the children of the province, I think, when they need a little bit of a party.
You've left me in a good mood.
Oh, that's wonderful. Thank you.
That's wonderful, because
so
yesterday's episode we talked a bit about the situation in Kamloops, and I kind of was in a gray cloud all day, as probably should be when dealing with the content. But this is wonderful that we have this great festival to look forward to, that you've pivoted, that you're putting on this virtual festival for everybody in Saskatchewan. I guess for that matter, the world really, because it is virtual.
Thank you, Ian. No, it's wonderful. We're very fortunate. Thank you.
Thank you. Darcy, thank you so much for joining us, and we'll have you on again.
I look forward to it, Ian.
And I'll smile when I see the rain this weekend. I'll think of you.
I won't. Thank you, Ian. Take care. We'll talk soon.
Bye for now.
Bye-bye.
Viewers, thank you so much. We're going to go back here. Nazeem also had another comment, if I were to catch it quickly here. She just wanted to mention that this is going back to Dr. Nazeem Muhajarine talking about that very important information to know, and the information that he shared about being cautiously optimistic. So Nazeem, thank you for that comment, and a bit of insider talk here. Nazeem is actually the host of our show that's coming up in about 24 minutes time. Let's chat. And be on very shortly. And a reminder that show is in Arabic, and if you have a chance to tune in, please do so. Coming up later, Thursday is our next Coffee Break YXE. That's on at 10 a.m. Wednesday night is going to be Green Room YXE with Leslie Stanwyck and Johnny Sinclair, the hosts there. I always get their last names confused. They are going to be on at 7 p.m. on Wednesday, and I think their guest this week is Jeffrey Straker. That's it for me. We'll see you again next Thursday at 10 a.m.